What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Ackland here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. For those of you that live in the European area, sort of loosely, it's already Friday afternoon. You're just done with work. You have the lovely weekend ahead of you. Probably going to play some World of Warcraft. Why not? You know, there's a lot of things to do before the next expansion comes out, especially since we know it's quite soon, right? It's quite soon. For those of you that live in America, sucks to be you. You still have a whole Friday ahead of you before you can actually get into the Friday, into the weekend. Or maybe you don't work, in which case, happy weekend every day. How you guys doing? Welcome back to each and every one of you. Justice, how you doing? Dominus, how you doing? Epic Thulu, how you doing? T-King, Nameless, Elodie, Vin, Nick, Poiter, Grace. Thank you so much for joining. Very happy to have all of you here. Miracos, how you doing, bro? What a day. What a day. I had literally almost 4-hour meeting this morning about an upcoming podcast that I'm setting together. It's a whole thing. But you guys will learn about that a little bit later, probably next week sometime. I'll go into more detail about that. But yeah, it's been a nuts day for me. So I'm very happy. I always like these shows. Right? I always like the Barrens Chat, because Barrens Chat sort of signifies the end of a work week, for me at least. It's like, okay, no more videos. I've grinded. I've made all the videos I need to do. And then what happens is I wake up on a Saturday and I go, I have a theory. Well, never fucking mind. The weekend, I'll just record the theory. So... But it feels like it's the end of the week, you know? It feels like now's the time to relax, and so you do feel a little bit different. Fresh from the gym, in time for the stream. Good stuff. Happy to have you here, bro. A game theory. Oh, the wild talk comes. Oh, yeah. And an old guy order a build for me. Oh, dealership was mad. Loved it. Nice, Johnny. Wait, when you say order a build, what do you mean? PC build or, like, what build? Because that when I hear someone say order a build, I'm just immediately going, oh, PC build. Must be that, right? Maybe cars? Do people talk about cars as well as being builds? Barrens Chat, did someone say Thunder Theory, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker? Today is Fake Friday since I work Saturdays. Well, still enjoy Fake Friday. If you haven't already. Moni, how you doing, bro? What's on the list of topics today? So, mostly in Barrens Chat, as you guys know, it's up to you guys. You make most of the rules, you ask questions, you lead the conversation to wherever you want it to go. But I do have topics, I do have a couple of things that I want to discuss, that I want to get into, that I think we should be talking about. So, as we always do, we'll get the bad stuff out of the way before, really focusing on the good stuff. So, there's something bad that happened. This happened yesterday. Or at least we learned about it yesterday. Probably happened a little bit earlier. But John Haidt, the director or executive producer, rather, of World of Warcraft, has left Blizzard. Now, I said during the stream when this news broke, the thing that bothers me about this is the timing. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not suggesting that this is doomsday and World of Warcraft is done and there's nothing they can do anymore. Pack it up, boys. Let's all go play Final Fantasy XIV. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, from a timing perspective, when you think about, someone working at a company like Blizzard, someone making video games, I get that there's a point where you feel a little bit tired, you feel a little bit burned out, you really want a change of pace, a change of scenery. I fully understand that, but this would have made a lot more sense. Was this during Shadowlands, or was this at the beginning of Dragonflight, for example? I probably would have been able to go, all right, he just wants a change of pace. But now with the World Soul Saga looming, and we have this, giant push in a brand new direction that Blizzard have never gone into, this would be, in my opinion at least, one of the most exciting times to be at Blizzard Entertainment, because this is the first time this has ever happened. You've never done sagas before. How cool could it actually be? So it just bothers me a little. The timing is a little bit suspicious. Now, there are two fundamental options here. I'm sort of leaning towards the Microsoft option a little bit more. Not that Microsoft is downsizing, but this may be indicative of Microsoft applying pressure to Blizzard. in other words, Microsoft really wants Blizzard to start cutting costs. Microsoft doesn't think that Blizzard requires all of the people that they currently have, and so, a little bit of pressure is being applied. So Blizzard is applying that pressure, obviously, where they feel like they could potentially make some cuts. The issue, of course, with that is no game can operate without an executive producer. And you can't say, well, we have one executive producer that's just going to do all of them. That's not how it works, right? You need a guy that is going to oversee the budget, is going to make sure that there is money for all of the things that you want to do, that's going to make sure that all of the departments are well stocked and well equipped to do all of the work. So you need an executive producer. So I don't know if the Microsoft option makes sense, because they would just have to employ another executive producer for World of Warcraft. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. But that only needs one other option, and nothing I see at the moment indicates that this could be true, and that is that Jonathan Haidt doesn't believe in the direction that World of Warcraft is going in. He doesn't think that he wants to be a part of this. This doesn't feel like the kind of thing that he wants to see through to the end of it. If that is the case, I think we'd all be very sad, because everything looks so good. Everything looks so exciting. Maybe he really just decided to leave. I can't just go with that, because, kind of my brain works this way. The first thing I thought when I saw this, I was like, oh, shit. Oh, how bad is that going to be? I'm not even going to read his Twitter post about this, because it is just a bunch of PR speak. You'll never know what the truth is if you read his Twitter post, because it is just him going, I'm so glad and grateful for all the time that I had with you guys, but it's time for a new adventure. And it's like, all right, bro, calm the fuck down. That's enough of the PR speak for one day. But yeah, he is moving on to something else. I wish him luck. Thank you so much for the time that you've spent with us. It's been, phenomenal. There's been some bad times, but there's also been some good times. So I'm very happy for that. Third option, not that he doesn't believe in it. Maybe he couldn't adapt to it. Lots more plate spinning with the various teams. Abaddon, that is also, of course, possible. It is that, now with Chris Metzen moving the entire World of Warcraft into this weird space, it is possible that for him, this was just way too overwhelming, not what he really signed up for. Because you have to think, previously, as the executive producer of World of Warcraft, his job was to manage 2 teams. And basically only one team, because it was only the one team really making the expansions. The other team was just sort of doing the patches. Now his job is managing 4 teams. Because he has the 2 teams that's making the new expansions, he has the 1 team that's doing the patches, and they have the experimental team that does, the plunder booty and all those things. So it might just be that he went, this is nuts. I did not sign up for this. I'm not going to continue doing this. Get someone else in. So it is entirely possible. C. Mueller, how you doing, bro? Cave Montero, how you doing, bro? Frederick, how you doing? Matthew, how you doing? How you doing? People get tired of doing the same thing over and over. I know I've moved jobs because after several years, I needed something new. Frederick, I already discussed that in the beginning. And the main point there is the timing seems weird and awkward, considering, you're moving into something that's never been done with World of Warcraft before. So it does just sort of make you go, really? You need a change of pace now? I still think World of Warcraft is in a perfect position. I don't think... I'll put it to you guys this way. With how bad Shadowlands was, and with how lovey-dovey Dragonflight was, if the old guard at Blizzard, the people that oversaw these expansions, if they're the ones leaving and going, well, we just don't want to be a part of this new journey, I don't see that as a massive loss. Right? Because, yeah, I mean, all that could mean is that Chris Mason is going back to the days of war and blood and thunder, and, these people are going, we don't want any of that. We want friendship and power of friendship. So then it's like, yeah, okay, cool, you guys can go. we'll do it without you. So, yeah, I'm not super worried about the game. It's just interesting, the timing and why he left is interesting. Make war, not Lovecraft. True. If you love something but need a change of scenery, the best time to hand it off is when you are about to launch or have just launched something. That is also true. Frozen Solid, how you doing, bro? T-King, how you doing? All right, so on to the next thing, and this is me gloating, by the way. So if you don't like me gloating, stick your fingers in your ears, because I told you so. Boy, did I fucking tell you this. But no one ever listens to Akalon. No, I'm just the fat fucking comedic relief. The Titans are evil, and we now have proof of that. I don't know, I don't know how many other ways I can explain to people that the Titans are evil, and then I still have people in my comment section going, actually, bro, the Titans are not evil. You're just, sucking on that void dick the whole time. And say, no, I've shown you objectively how the Titans are evil. How are we still having this conversation? Like, how are we still having the conversation where people are going, nah, the Titans are the good guys? It's like, really? Of all the things that they've done and all the questionable bullshit that they've pulled, you still think that these are the good guys? So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to explain to you. In the new expansion, while you're uniting, because this is something that you do. So the Earthen, the dwarves made of stone, are divided into, I believe it's 3 nations, but 2 of these factions, very specifically. The one is called the Unbound. And the reason they're called the Unbound is because they no longer follow the edicts of the Titans. They believe that they are free from the edicts. The others, of course, are still bound to the edicts of the Titans. The problem is that with the war now looming and Xalatath and the darkness coming, the Earthen realize that they have to help and fight. I'm not entirely sure because the game, or at least the posts that I've seen about this, does not go into too much detail. But for some reason, in order for these groups to start working together, because they realize they do have to put their differences aside so that they can actually defeat Xalatath, one of the stipulations from the Unbound is that the console of the Titans be smashed, thereby freeing the Earthen from the edicts of the Titans. What happens, you guys think, when they finally smash the console of the Titans? Thereby freeing themselves. Remember, the Titans left them here. They've been following the Titans out of a sense of duty. And yet, when they finally decided to free themselves, they no longer wish to follow the edicts of the Titans. A giant, colossal Titan construct comes out of the ocean to destroy the Earthen. Not reason with them, not explain to them that actually this contract is signed in blood and you can go fuck yourself, you're always going to be under the edicts of the Titans. No. To kill all of the Earthen. Our job after the smashing of that console is to kill the Titan construct or colossal that is now trying to massacre all of the Earthen. Now, if you still, at this point, look to the Titans and go, well, actually, bro, what are they supposed to do, you have a problem. Like, something is just not clicking for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why you can't make the leap, or at least the logical conclusion, that no friend of Azeroth, no friendly force would do that. That is not the kind of action or reaction that you would expect from someone that has your best interest at heart. What you would expect is someone to try and reason with you, someone to try and explain it. The Titans don't do this. Their first action is violence. It's to just massacre whoever does not agree with them. And then, of course, this isn't the first time that's happened. We've had this before, where the Titans, as soon as someone goes a little bit out of the Titans, shall we say, plan, the Titans' response is to re-originate the planet, or to destroy everyone, or to hunt everyone down. Remember, when the constructs of the Titans left because they no longer believed in the Titan story, and they left to go join Avaloran, or at least what they call Avaloran at the time, what did the Titans do? What was their response? To send wave after wave after wave of Titan construct to Avaloran to bring them back violently. How are you... If you are someone in chat, is there anyone in chat that actually believes the Titans are good guys? The reaction to I disagree with this is to kill the dissenters is a bad sign. It really is, Brit Girl. I mean, like, who looks at that and goes, I see nothing wrong with that reaction whatsoever. It's a little bit weird. Maybe this is a failsafe protocol. Radislaw, that doesn't change anything. If this is a failsafe protocol, failsafe to what? It doesn't change anything, because if that construct was built in case the Earthen got destroyed, and therefore would destroy the enemies of the ones that destroyed the Earthen, it would not be attacking the Earthen. It would have been coded to not attack the Earthen. The fact is, the second they smash the console, this construct comes out and wants to final solution all of the fucking Earthen. That, to me, is a bit of a, like, it's a wild leap and a very wild reaction. The last bad guy I got to was Deathwing, so I don't know, and I don't care. That's fair. Just like the Emperor sending armies to seize rebellion. Yeah, pretty much. I still, Sargeras is nuts. His reaction is still kill stuff. So, I want to make this very, very clear, because I do think that oftentimes people don't follow the logic of an argument. Just because I'm saying that the Titans are indeed evil does not automatically mean that I now think the Void are the good guys or the Foul are the good guys. That's not how that works, right? It's entirely possible that more than one thing can be true at the same time. So the Titans can be evil and the Void can also be evil. Like, it's possible that you have everything be evil, or at least, maybe evil isn't the right word, but rather, let's say, self-serving. Okay? It's entirely possible that every single one of the cosmological forces are self-serving. So they don't intend, because evil, I think, is an intent. It's the kind of thing where I'm trying to do something to hurt you, which, if my response to you is actually because you're going to destroy my plans, and I'm really just in this for myself, then it's not so much evil as it is just self-serving. So, yes, we kill all of the Earthen because we will not allow more descent on Azeroth than what there already is, and therefore it's better to get rid of these Earthen than to allow them to make their own decisions and ultimately maybe potentially become part of the problem rather than part of the solution to us. So it is possible, right? Yeah, I'd agree with that. They all want what they want and stuff everyone else as long as they win. That's my view on it, as at least. When you create a machine to do a thing and that machine goes nuts, you normally shut down it, and if you can't, you destroy it. Yeah, but Radislaw, if you take mortals, for example, in Ulduar, we had to fight for our lives to try and stop the Titans' failsafe from literally re-originating the planet, thereby killing all life. Now we're not talking about machines. We're not talking about them creating a machine and, that machine. We're talking about them taking life and just wiping it from the fucking board. Going, nah, never mind this. We'll just delete it. The problem is there's so much information now that is stacking up against the Titans. And the thing that I'm trying to... The concept I'm desperately trying to drive home to people is that I don't think it is helpful for us to think of our cosmos and our universe as a place where we have allies. I think if I read World of Warcraft's direction correctly, and I think I do, it feels like Blizzard is getting ready to sort of isolate us. That's what it feels like, at least to me. It feels like we're being isolated against the other cosmological forces. Xal'atath herself seems... I have a theory about Xal'atath, by the way. I don't have anything to back this theory up yet, but I'll throw it out there anyways. What if Xal'atath doesn't serve the Void Lords? If you listen to Xal'atath, she doesn't want to destroy us. She wants to harness our rage. She wants to make us part of her solution, of her army. What if Xal'atath herself is actually busy with a much greater game, a much greater plan? And it's not a plan that involves the Old Gods or the Void Lords. It's a plan that she has hatched on her own in order to circumvent the Void, but also save the mortals. Oh, was it? Your fury will be mine? Yes, that's exactly her words. Your fury will be mine. That's my tinfoil theory. I think it's more likely Zal is against the Titans than she is fully aligned with the Void Lords. While she does have a history of ditching people when they're no longer useful. So the main question here, and the main reason I say this, is because Xal'atath, the origins of Xal'atath is highly problematic. Highly problematic. We don't know where Xal'atath comes from. We know that Xal'atath wasn't always a blade. How do we know this? Well, sort of by extrapolating a bunch of things. The main extrapolation, of course, being if Xal'atath leaving the blade could become mortal, or at least immortal, but, inhabit a body, then this means that before Xal'atath was a blade, she should have been some kind of soul. So clearly Xal'atath has some kind of soul, either a thing mimicking a soul or an actual soul. But Xal'atath did have a time before the blade. The next bit of evidence that we have for this is Xal'atath saying they will pay for what was done to me a year or so long ago when you go to Orgrimmar. We've spoken about this many, many times before, but in this instance, it is pertinent to mention at least, suggesting that something happened to Xal'atath. We also know that the blade has been around for a super, super long time, right? Basically, the blade has been around since before the Fall and the Second Sundering. So there's clearly... there's a lot of evidence about Xal'atath the Blade. There is no evidence about Xal'atath the Mortal. But then someone in my community, Saven Raven, came up with a theory. She literally just mentioned this to me. What if Xal'atath is Elune, or at least a part of Elune? So what if Elune is the one that was split, and part of Elune was placed inside a blade, and the other part of Elune was locked inside either the moon of Azeroth, or has been forced to sort of exist without a body, exist without a presence. Perhaps that is why we've never seen Elune before, because Elune can't actually manifest into a body as a result of being split, right? As a result, it is possible that Xal'atath is literally the blue child that the ancient stories refer to, or the folk tales refer to. So Xal'atath is the blue child, but the blue child isn't so much the concept of Xal'atath being the child of Elune, but rather as Xal'atath, or as Elune was either betrayed by the Titans, because we know the Titans like doing that. Aman'Thul has some wild and weird crap that he likes to pull. So I would not be. So here's the thing. Now we have to go back all the way to Legion. In Legion, I showed that the architecture and the design of the Blade of Xal'atath is ridiculously similar to Titan-constructed weapons. In fact, it looks almost identical to the weapons of Sargeras, and Sargeras uses Titan Forging. And I'm not talking about Titan Forging, the one where your gear goes up, you don't have to have a fucking panic attack I'm talking about Titan forging as in the Titan method of forging weapons. They look as if they may have come from exactly the same blacksmith, to be quite frank. What if Aman'Thul, in another weird attempt at control, actually took Elune? Because we know that Aman'Thul trusts no one. And we also know that Elune, at least from the stories that we've heard, would come from the Shadowlands. This means that Aman'Thul would probably not know who Elune is. So coming across Elune, he did not like the fact that she was powerful. He did not like the fact that she was free. And so Aman'Thul devised this new plan. He would chain Elune into the blade. But not all of her, only a part of her. We know that Morn Blades do have this ability to split souls. And since Xal'atath really operates like a Morn Blade, it is entirely possible that Xal'atath is an opposite side of Elune. The reason I like this theory is the imagery of Xal'atath. If you guys remember, when we saw the very first cinematic with Xal'atath, I started going on about Elune and Xal'atath and the similarities between Elune and Xal'atath. So if you look at Xal'atath, for example, you look on her cheek and just between her eyes, you have the crescent moon, a symbol very much related to the Night Elves and Elune's worship. I believe actually that exact symbol can be found on Tyrande. I'd have to go and check that, to be fair. But I think you can find that exact rune on Tyrande. The half crescent moon, or the crescent moon rather. Xal'atath has this on her cheek as well as between her eyes, right here. She has the crescent moon. Her eyes look like either a solar or a lunar eclipse. I should probably show you guys this, just in case. I mean, I don't know why I'm expecting you to use your imagination. I do apologize. I just remembered, wait, I have the power of Google and YouTube. I could show you guys this. I don't need you to imagine it. Like, this is not the fucking 1500s, so I do apologize for this. I'll show you. You don't have to imagine it. Let me just make sure which one is it. Yeah, we can go with this one. Okay. I don't want all of this. I really just want... All right, look at her eyes here, okay? If you look closely, I think there's a point where they zoom in a little bit on her eyes. Like, look at that. Does that not look like either a solar or a lunar eclipse? Now, don't think about the color, because I know a lot of people immediately went, no, it can't be a lunar eclipse because that would be red. That depends on a great many things, right? If you look at her eyes, this is an eclipse of some kind. Now, a solar eclipse, moon moving in front of the sun. Lunar eclipse, Earth moving between the sun and the moon. In both cases, the moon is present within that equation. So it doesn't really matter whether this is a solar or lunar eclipse. It's the fact is the moon is involved in this. Then, of course, as I said, take a look at her cheek, right? Take a look at her cheek. Take a look at this. So you look at her cheek over here, the crescent moon, look right between her eyes, the crescent moon over there. Why is Elune so heavily imaged in Xal'atath's cinematics? Dying Angel, how you doing? Nick, how you doing? Anti-Product, how you doing, bro? Katie, how you doing? Ginger Nuts, how you doing? Midnight and focused on the owls, very likely to be Elune focus, right? Yeah, well, obviously. there's been a giant build-up of Elune for a while now, right? We've had Elune basically not front and center, but present since end of Legion, really. Actually, in Legion, fuck, what am I talking about? Val Shara is like super Elune focused. So since Legion, really, Elune has been playing an increasingly more important role within the story. And in Dragonflight, really, we came very close to Elune taking front and center, but really in Shadowlands, Elune played quite a large central theme of the expansion. So it is entirely possible that this is Blizzard building up to it. Doing pretty good, man. Did you happen to see my theory about Sargeras, Aenar, Zal, and Elune? Katie, I've no idea. I've seen hundreds of theories the last few months. Every single one of my videos, there's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 theories. Everyone has a different one. So I like reading all of them, but if you're asking me to remember a specific one, there's no fucking shot. I won't be able to do that. I have a pretty decent memory, but not that good. Not if you're such a narcissist that it's always everyone else's fault. What do you mean, Brittle J? What if Sargeras actually killed Aenar on the seat of the Pantheon and split her soul with the sword? Elune half and Xal'atath is the other. The problem just there is, why would the Titans leave that out? I mean, they told us about Sargeras killing Agramar. They told us about Sargeras cleaving a planet in half. Why would they not tell us about... No, that's not possible. For a second there, I was like, wait. A planet with a nascent Titan soul was cleaved in half. Where do the Titan souls go upon death? We now know that they also go to the Shadowlands. If servants and beings of life go to Ardenweald in order to be reborn, is it not possible that Elune herself would also be in Ardenweald to be reborn after Sargeras cleaved her planet in half? This is why the Winter Queen refers to Elune as sister, because when Elune arrived in Ardenweald, she immediately realized that, oh shit, Elune is actually like me. She is also a titanic being. She was born inside a planet, and this is how they know each other. So not technically sister, but kind of sister. Not if she was split and sent elsewhere. The problem is that now we're starting to get into some very difficult sort of properties, right? Because if we're saying, well, actually she could have been killed and then sent elsewhere, the problem that you would run into there is, okay, so wait a second. Is every single being that lives inside a planet now going to a completely different fucking place? What's the logic? There has to be a logical conclusion to something, right? I need to be able to logically say these are the rules. If a nascent world soul dies, it goes there, right? Unless there's fuckery about. Now, in the instance of Argus, we know that fuckery was about, right? There was a bunch of fuckery. But I don't think the fuckery was to ensure that he would go to a place that he don't normally go to. I think the fuckery was that when he does go there, he would do something completely different. That's what I think the fuckery was about. A lot of Berkham's hints, etc., that can lead us in quite a few directions. True. Exactly. It's hard to build and explain on a theory in YouTube chat, but that's my exact thinking, just working there faster than me. No, that's perfectly fine, bro. I don't know how I feel about it, because, I mean, we've never had an answer to what happened to the world soul that got cleaved in half, right? And the reason I don't know if that world soul actually dies is because when Agramar got cleaved in half, Agramar didn't die. His body got destroyed, but his soul was fine. We know because Agramar is alive right now. When Sargeras killed all of the other Titans, they didn't die either. Remember, a spell was cast in order to stop them from going back to the source, but not necessarily from dying forever. Based on everything that we've come to understand, especially during the Shadowlands, these souls are technically indestructible. Upon death, they will simply return to the source and be born again. Unless, of course, you stop it personally from happening, but the fact that we see multiple versions of the Eternal Ones and their bodies inside Zereth Mortis suggests that their souls are indestructible, as it were. With Aug's soul from the planet to their ship. Be a lot of fuckery afoot, mate. Jordan, you're telling me the Winter Queen also called Ysera her sister's pet? Yes, but again, when you say sister, it's important to understand that sister does not have to mean sibling. It can mean sibling, of course, but it can also just be sister as in same, right? So we shared the same space for a very long time, and therefore we are sisters. Now, if that is the case, and Sargeras did indeed split Xalatath, or split Elune into when he cleaved that planet in half, and part of Elune went to the Shadowlands. The other part of Elune made its way to Azeroth, and it became Xalatath. So, Barmot, I said the same thing, but I'm pretty sure in an interview, it was Steve the Newser that confirmed that no, Titan souls still go to the Shadowlands. It's from the Shadowlands that they get sent to their respective places. So, the Shadowlands, when they go into Oribos, that's where the soul of a Titan would be sent to the Realms of Order. Suggesting, by the way, that these realms are indeed, as we have speculated in the past, they are indeed connected to each other. So the Titans and other godlike beings use the Shadowlands and Anima for mortals to be a rebirthing tool. Well, it would make sense, since based on what I think about the Shadowlands, it looks like we are consistently being used. Brittle J, that's exactly my thinking. Xalatath would be the dark side of the moon. She is the counterweight to Elune, because she and Elune isn't the same. And what's interesting is she makes reference of Elune, right, in her whisper. Upstart goddess. Which sounds non-threatening, but also a little insulting, right? Yeah. What if she's not the moon? We're going to the Sunwell again at some point in the coming expansions. Okay, but Vengeance, what do you mean? What if she's not the moon, though? The Shadowlands really make stuff more confusing, because if a Titan can end up there, so would an old god. Obama, don't get me started. I've said before, the biggest mistake the Shadowlands made was to give us a peek behind the curtain. Death is the one thing in almost every story that you should try not to fuck with, unless you absolutely have a plan, because you end up making death trivial, which I feel like for a lot of people, death has been made trivial in World of Warcraft because of what the Shadowlands represented, but then it also just creates a shit ton of confusion. Because, okay, wait, but so now they're going to the Shadowlands, but are they really going to the Shadowlands, or are they going somewhere else? How does any of this actually operate and work? You could make the argument that one of the reasons you had the Void invading Bastion is because even the old gods go through Oribos in order to go back to the Void, right? And one old god managed to make it through and actually go to Bastion rather than go to the Void. It's like, it's a mess. We have to operate within this mess, but it is a mess. I fully agree with you there. What if it's solar and not lunar eclipse in our eyes? Vengeance, I've already explained for that. It doesn't matter, because ultimately the moon is involved in both of those processes, and so it doesn't matter. The moon is still involved. Now, if you are focusing on the sun, that puts us in a much more precarious position, right? Because the issue with the sun is that, yes, the Tauren believe in the sun being an actual being, the same as Elune, basically, right? Or what they call Musha, what is Elune. They believe in Anshe being an actual being. But from my understanding, it's interesting that almost no other race on Azeroth share that belief, at least from what I know. Now, I could be misremembering certain things, but if I'm not mistaken, it's only the Tauren that believe in Anshe, that believe that there is a being of the light. No? Ryan, you bastard. With the $50, man. Really appreciate you. Thank you, kind sir. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the dono. Zal calls the player the opener, bringer of truth, and the torch of the torch to light the way. Was she manipulating the manipulator N'Zoth by making him believe we would free him? But in truth, we would one day be freeing Azeroth? What is Xal'atath's fate? So, Ryan, I don't think that she was trying to manipulate N'Zoth. I think N'Zoth was always supposed to die. I don't think N'Zoth ever really cared about living. I don't think any of the old gods ever cared about living. Because I think fundamentally, from their perspective, so it's important to understand that the old gods are fragments of the Void Lords. So this means that N'Zoth isn't actually a being in his own right. N'Zoth exists because of a greater being called the Void Lord. So for N'Zoth, the only reason for his existence is to bring about the Void Lord, right? That he belongs to. So I think that they were always meant to die. This wasn't just like this wasn't an accident. I think death was always the plan because Xal'atath, the Harbinger, was always supposed to use their essence in order to open the way for the old god, for the Void Lords to come through. So that's my theory, at least, on it. I hope that answers it. The Tauren believe in Musha and Anshe, Sun and Moon. I don't know which is which. So Musha is the moon, Elune, basically. The argument is pretty well established that Musha and Elune is the same thing. Right? Even the Tauren, I believe, don't dispute that. It's just different words for the same thing. Anshe, on the other hand, I don't believe the Night Elves have the same version of Anshe. Being the moon is that we know from the story of the Night Warrior that Elune isn't specifically contained in our universe. We see other Night Warriors from other dimensions. Yeah, but it doesn't have to... that does not have to matter specifically because from the other dimensions, Elune would also exist. Because the Titans exist in the other dimensions as well. So if Elune is indeed a being born inside a planet, then Elune would exist in all of the other universes or all of the other dimensions as well. She would be a planet in all of those dimensions as well. This is, by the way, also a problem with time travel and different dimensions. It starts to create a very weird way of trying to tell a story. So, Aklon, from your grasp of things, in terms of her relationship with Azeroth, is Xal'atath a misunderstood hero, kind of like Illidan, or kind of like Queen Azshara, and will do whatever it takes to gain power? I think somewhere in between those two. I'm also not, by the way, convinced that Queen Azshara is the villain. I don't think Queen Azshara is looking for power's sake. I think Queen Azshara is looking for power for something very specific. I don't think it's just for power's sake. That would be a little bit boring, especially considering her character as it stands. Someone mentioned this to me, and I'll run this past you guys because I think it's an interesting theory. The similarities between Azshara and the shit that the elves were pulling with the Well of Eternity and the events of Koresh are striking. No? I think it was Apocalypse, actually, that mentioned this to me. If Sargeras did not disrupt and destroy the Well of Eternity, Azara and her followers would absolutely have summoned a Void Lord into our reality. Against their will, but they would have done so. Because if you think about it, the Well of Eternity is considered to be a font of arcane power. Azara and her followers were basically seeking ways to increase the magical capacity of the Well of Eternity. So create even more arcane power within the Well of Eternity because they were drawing from this font of power in order to do their magic. Go back to Koresh. What happened on Koresh? What is the actual lore of Koresh? The Ethereals, or what they were known as before they became Ethereals, I don't actually know. But the Ethereals were fucking around with arcane. In fact, they were so powerful in the arcane that their cities had arcane shields around it. And it was this arcane that drew Dementius to their planet. To attack their planet and ultimately destroy their planet. So, in a way, if Azara wasn't stopped by Sargeras, they would have summoned someone through. So now you start to ask the question, what if Sargeras did this on purpose? So AFC Dom, Kimmy, how you doing, by the way? AFC Dom, the theory, as it's presented to us in the game, is because after Amanthul ripped Yisaraj out of the planet and caused this gaping wound, not in the fun way, but in the not so fun way, the gaping wound in Azeroth, the blood of Azeroth was spilling out. The Titans then used copious amounts of arcane magic to stabilize the wound, cauterize it, and basically create this Well of Eternity that would stabilize. Because the problem was that even after the Well of Eternity was quote-unquote created, it was ridiculously unstable and it was causing problems. So they used arcane to stabilize it. And the arcane basically became sort of captured within it. And then Azara and her followers started pumping more arcane into the Well of Eternity because they wanted more access to more power, effectively. That's how the story is sold to us, but remember, all of that comes from the Titans themselves. Very little of that is stuff that we know firsthand. Are you familiar with the three female deities mythos different present in different cultures? Three aspects of the same main god? Could the three aspects be Elune, Zaratath, and the Winter Queen? I'm not familiar with that, but it's possible. It is, although I don't think, Snobby, how you doing, bro? I don't think the Winter Queen and Elune is the same creature, or even elements of the same creature. I do think Elune is more special than that. There's something about Elune that is way more special than that. There is also, of course, another option. If we really believe that Blizzard is going down this road of there are no allies, only enemies. So if we really want to go down that road and that line of thinking, there is an opportunity, at least, that Xalatath was once a follower of Elune. And then Xalatath was betrayed by Elune. And that betrayal is what sent Xalatath towards the Void Lords. To get the power to make Elune pay for what she did to her. That's another one because, well, again, the runes that Xalatath have, her eyes looking like fucking the moon is present there, at least the crescent moon. There's some weird shit going on with her. They keep reviving me as I accident. Yeah, well, that is true. You see, the one problem that Blizzard have is they fucked up so badly with cosmic storytelling in Shadowlands that now whenever I tell players that imagine a cosmic story in World of Warcraft, the overwhelming majority of people are like, hell no. Please no. Please no. We don't want this. And what's interesting is you could tell phenomenal cosmic stories if you're careful. I keep grabbing books and beta. And how's that going for you? I still want cosmic stories. Damn, I'm with you. I think cosmic stories are super cool. If you do them well. They can be really bad and really poor, obviously. That's always possible. But if you do them well, cosmic stories is... And also, I should say this. Now, I'm going to trigger a lot of you. So if you don't want to be triggered, maybe now's the time to fuck off. Instantly half the chat clears out. Okay. The current direction of World of Warcraft is not sustainable in the long term. And when I mean long term, I mean long term. So 10 years. We can't keep doing the same stories that we're doing. If you think about it, in Classic, we dealt with some of the demons, some of the old god stuff, mostly Horde versus Alliance. Then we went to TBC. This is where we dealt very much with the demons. There are a little bit, like, some questionable stuff, but mostly demons. In Wrath of the Lich King, we dealt with the realms of death, also a little bit demon, a little bit old god, but mostly realms of death. Then we have Cataclysm, where we deal with the Titans, the Titan threat, the old god threat, and some demonic crossover, but not too much. Mist of Pandaria, we deal almost exclusively with the old gods and the Titans, because wherever there's old gods, there's going to be Titans close behind. At least with the Cluxy, there's some heavy conversations about the old about the Titans and whatnot. JT, so yes, this stream doesn't happen on Twitch. Every Friday night, it's an exclusive main channel YouTube stream. How you doing, by the way? And then we go to Warlords of Draenor. Now we're dealing again with the demons, again with the fallout of the demons. Then we get into Legion, and demons again. The fallout of the demons. More problems with the demons. Then we finish the demon problem in Legion. We have taken care of the demon problem in Legion. No more problems with the demons now. Then Battle for Azeroth comes, and we finally take care of the old god problem. The last old god is destroyed on Azeroth, then everything's hunky-dory now. Then we go into Shadowlands, and we deal and finish the events of death. We have now removed the problem of death on our world. In Dragonflight, we dealt with the Titans. And yes, we have Iridikron, but Iridikron is setting us up for a final battle against the Void. And with it being a saga, it looks like Blizzard is getting ready to wrap up the stories of the Titans, the stories of the old gods, or the Void Lords, and perhaps some of the stories of life. This now means that after the World Soul Saga, where do we go next? And at what point does it start to feel like a soap opera? Like, at what point have we rehashed the cosmic enemies so much that the player base no longer really gives a shit? Oh, it's another demon invasion. Cool. Oh, the Titans are coming. Cool. Oh, it's the old gods again. Cool. Right, at what point do we reach... When do we reach that point, do you guys think? Dominus, yes, you're absolutely correct. There's still plenty of places we can go. Avalorum being one of them and all the rest of them. But we're always going to need enemies. So, at what point are the bog standard cosmological forces enemies just played out and boring? Like, at what point do we get... Oh, this is fucking boring. By the way, Ryan, did I answer your question to satisfaction, or is there still questions that you may have, right? Because I'd be happy to keep going. You did give money for me to answer the question, so please feel free to go, bro, but that or that or that. So I can at least give you your money's worth. I hit that when Shadowlands rewrote so much of the Lich King's lore. New gen of villains look like. Eternal Knight, how you doing, bro? We didn't fix death. We showed what it looks like now after it was missing broken. Well, we did fix it. We removed the faulty element of it, at least according to Steve Denuser. There's a lot of Cosmic left to explore. Light as a whole story waiting. Darkscream, you're suggesting that the Light story doesn't end in the World Soul Saga. I will remind you of the Arathians that is currently playing a massive part. I'll remind you that the next expansion is called Midnight. If you think you're going to have Midnight as an expansion and the Light is just not going to be around, I don't necessarily agree with that. And then you have the Lost Titan. So your suggestion would be that none of those forces are going to be dealt with in the next 3 expansions, and there's going to be more forces left. I still come back to my original question. At what point have you rehashed enemies from the Cosmic Forces to the point where the player base no longer really cares about the Cosmic Forces? Darkscream, I don't agree with that. Everything that I've seen of the Arathi, they have a different application of the light. But it's still the light. It's still the light that they serve. They just have a different version of it. But it is still the same light. So, unless you're arguing there's multiple types of light, and not all, there's 6 Light Lords that Anduin and Turalian serve, and then there's another 6 that the Arathians serve. So there's an unlimited amount of Light Lords, but I don't think that's the case. I think you answered it properly. I just find it interesting, the interaction with Zal and N'Zoth. What was their bargain? Did N'Zoth have one up on Xal'atath? I think so. I think the problem was that somehow N'Zoth was the only one that could free her from the blade. That's my thinking, at least. Only N'Zoth had the power, or maybe only an old god had the power to free her from the blade, and since he was the last one left, he was the only one that could free her from the blade, because no one else would be powerful enough, and the one who put her in the blade in the first place wouldn't do it, because, well, they wanted her in the blade. That would be my guess, Ryan. I can't be sure, obviously. Vengeance Z, that would create a mess, but I do like the theory. The thing is, maybe with new faction war, so even if you do introduce new faction war, the times where the faction war has been the most fun to explore has always been when the faction war isn't the only thing going on. Right? You think DBC, you even think Classic, you think Wrath even. It's always fun when, yes, there is a faction war, but the faction war is sort of happening alongside a bunch of other shit happening. And part of the difficulty of this other shit happening is trying to balance the factions wanting to fucking destroy each other and also having this huge threat that has to be taken care of. So it is sort of a... You're still going to need outside threats. Just the Horde v Alliance expansion isn't going to cut it. I feel like it... I also feel like the next BlizzCon, where a WoW dev even Chris Metzen steps up and says, boys, Horde versus Alliance, you'll physically hear boos from the crowd. People would just be like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. I feel like if you're gonna bring back the Horde v Alliance, bring it back quietly. Do it, but do it quietly. Don't announce it. It brings back too much memories and too many memories of bad expansions. don't announce shit. Just bring it back quietly. Let's go. Right? The war is back. The factions really want to kill each other. I think that's fine. For me personally, I feel like if you want to focus on the longevity of World of Warcraft, it's time for us to start zooming out. Now, some of you that's been around on this channel for a long time already know this. There are some of you that's brand new here, so I'll quickly explain. Steve Denuser was once asked, I believe this was during Battle for Azeroth, they were asked, is the cosmological map that we see in the Chronicles, is that all of the cosmological forces? The question was supposed to ask, is there more cosmic forces in our galaxy that we are unaware of? Is that the correct layout of the cosmic forces, or what are we missing? And Steve Denuser's answer was, it is important to understand that the cosmic map that we see in the Chronicles is a small part of something much larger. So you can zoom out from there. And there's a whole bunch of shit happening outside of the cosmological map that we see that we don't deal with because it's not part of the immediate cosmic map. And that creates a shit ton of new potential storylines, new potential enemies. Maybe learning about the first ones. Maybe meeting the first ones for the first time. Maybe learning about battles that is going on for control of the galaxy that is so much larger and so much greater than ourselves. All of these things are absolute possibilities, no? And personally, I think if you do it well, you could do it phenomenal, right? It could be really, really fun. All I know is we will soon find many answers and questions when the World Soul Saga kicks off fully. My experience with World of Warcraft expansions is I get fewer answers than what I get questions. And all I mean by that is they'll give me a lot of answers, but then every single one of those answers creates like 4 more fucking questions. Especially when Chris Metzen was in charge, like during Legion. When Chris Metzen was in charge, every single patch, I would say the same thing to my audience. It feels like I'm just constantly left with more fucking questions. Because I get answers to some of my questions, but then those answers create a bunch of new questions. And we're just going deeper and deeper down this fucking rabbit hole, trying to figure out where does this story actually go. So I'm so excited for the next expansion, but also we have 3 World Soul Sagas to get through. By the end of this, how many questions are we gonna be left with? Side Void with the consume stuff aspect. Holy Fire, is it Holy Light but aggressive? They use it to put you on fire. Ginger Nut. So the light, in my opinion, very similar to Foul, as well as to Death Magic. It depends on your use case, right? So the light doesn't just heal or just do damage. It does what you require it to do and what the wielder requires it to do. So it can smite and burn, but it can also heal. So it really depends on how you use it as the wielder. And if you think about it, that's basically every single... even life. Druids, for example. Depends on how you utilize it, right? It can either kill or it can save. So almost all of the magic in World of Warcraft have an aura of duality to them. The only 2 forces that I would say, or magics that I would say, is singular in its ability, but the application can change it, would be Foul and Void. The Foul can't heal you, and Void can't heal you, right? The Foul can drain life, but it won't heal, right? It just drains life and transfers it to the wielder, but it won't heal someone else. So it can't do good to other people, but it can save lives. So the foul can absolutely be used in the protection of the innocent, as warlocks do, as demon hunters do, but the foul itself won't do anything. Glovey, death magic can't heal you, but it can bring you back to life, for example, right? It can stop you from dying if utilized in the right way. I'm pretty sure from a fantasy perspective, there are necromancers that can play massive support roles, but that's from a fantasy perspective, not necessarily World of Warcraft perspective. It's more a case, the thing I'm trying to get to is, of all the magical powers or the cosmological powers in World of Warcraft in the Great Beyond, the only two that seem to be destructive by its very nature is Void and Foul. There are others, like Death, for example, I think we would all agree, is more destructive than what it is replenishing, right? Or healing. But it does have some elements to it. Whereas Void and Foul is like 90% destructive, 10% additive or helpful to others. That would be my thinking. At least that's how I would sort of just loosely define it. This is not a hard definition, by the way. It's a loose definition. Okay, so Ferrum, it's very important to know what Xalatath is talking about here. So I'll quickly let's listen to the cinematic.
In darkness, she slumbers and dreams. And for countless generations, mortal heroes have risen to defend her. They faced monsters, tyrants, and beasts of primordial horror.
I think it's this one. It could be the previous one, but let's just watch. It's one of the two cinematics where it says this. But it's important. Listen to what Xalatath is saying, because that's where I'm going to answer your question now. So you are talking about the previous one. All right, we can go to the previous one as well. It's not a problem. This one, right? It's this one, yeah.
For so long, I've watched you all.
I want you to focus on her words. It is important. For so long, I've watched you all. Now listen to what she's been watching. Okay, listen to what she's seen.
Your mortal struggles. Your proud defiance.
Okay, so we have your mortal struggles. We have your proud defiance.
The loneliness you pretend not to feel.
So she is listing off all of the things that is basically the essence of being mortal, especially on Azeroth.
You cling to hollow faith that can't.
And I don't think it's meant to just explain the light year. I think the hollow faith is referring to all faiths on Azeroth. So this would include the ancestor worship of the Taurens, the ancestor worship of the Orcs. Although the Orcs don't really worship their ancestors, they revere them, but not so much worship. It refers to the light. The light is, as far as I know, the light is the largest religion on Azeroth, or faith on Azeroth. So she is saying all of these powers, all of these forces, all of these things that you cling to can't sustain you. It's hollow. It isn't real.
Sustain you. You revel in power that cannot withstand what is to come.
Interesting how they show Jaina here. You revel in power that cannot withstand what is to come. Arcane power. So we're using the power of the Titans. We're using this ordered power. And if you think about it, arcane magic on Azeroth really is the most revered power. It's the one that everyone look to. When we have a problem, who do we go to? We go to Karazhan, right? Because that's where the arcane, or that's where the mages are. And the mages are the ones that save Azeroth. And Xal'atath is saying, this power that you revel in, it will not withstand what is to come. Now, I want you to note what is to come. Zuval, a galaxy divided will not survive what is to come. Withstand, survive, same thing, points to the same thing. It's important.
You convince yourselves that you are of purpose. That your great deeds can make a difference.
It's very interesting what she says here, and again, very interesting that they show Magni here. You convince yourself that you are of purpose. Suggesting once again, go back to her whispers, the King of Diamonds has been made a pawn. Now, what's very interesting, and we've spoken about this last week a little, but I'll rehash it for those that may not have seen it. The Void is said to deal in half-truths. And famously, we all sort of just collectively forgot what half-truths actually mean. Because when we argue about it, we tend to be in this mindset that some of what Xal'atath told us is true, and some of what Xal'atath told us is a lie. But that's not actually what a half-truth usually refers to. It can, but that's not usually what it refers to. So, for example, imagine your girlfriend comes to you, and she's like, you'll never believe it, Chris, your best friend, grabbed my ass. Then you go to Chris's house, punch him the fuck out, right? And when he finally comes to, and you've knocked him out a couple of times more, when he comes to, and he's like, bro, what the hell just happened here? And he's like, and you're like, bro, you grabbed my girl's ass? And he's like, dude, I absolutely did not. She backed into me, right? And as she backed into me, yes, I grabbed her ass because it did look kind of nice, but she was the one that backed into me. And I immediately let go. I was like, oh, nice ass, but I'll let go now, right? So technically, she's not lying. Your best friend did grab her ass. But that was only half the story. That was not the full story that occurred there, right? That's a half-truth. So when you think about what Xal'atath is saying, nothing Xal'atath says is a lie. Not a single one of Xal'atath's whispers is a lie. They are all true. They're just not all the whole truth. Now, I challenge all of you. Go back and read Xal'atath's whispers with this newfound view of her whispers. It's fucking wild, is all I'll tell you. It is wild when you go back and you read her whispers, realizing that none of it is a lie. So you don't have to look at a whisper and go, I don't think this is true. They're all true. They're not all necessarily the full truth. The problem is, from your perspective, both are a lie. You just know the truth if you know it at this point. Then, Drew, what do you mean? Anyways, what I'm trying to get to is the King of Diamonds have been made a pawn. That is true. The thing is, we don't know what the full truth is, right? So we don't know yet whether or not Magni actually followed the void, or whether or not Magni actually did follow Azeroth, but that Azeroth is the one that is completely misled, and therefore they view Magni as a pawn, right? How would we know? Was this a year about you and Sibi doing a podcast? Yes, Grofile. We're busy setting up a podcast.
But deep down, you know the truth. That when all your illusions are burned away, all that is left is your fury.
So this is what she's describing here. You asked me, this whole thing started with you asking me, what does she mean? Why does she want our fury? What she means here is anger, right? When we finally realize, so she's kind of busy telling us, giving us a bit of a prophetic word here. She's saying, when you finally realize that your faiths are hollow, when you finally realize that the power that you clung to is not strong enough to withstand what is to come, when you finally realize that you don't actually exist for a purpose, because remember, what does she say to Magni?
Is to come. You convince yourselves that you are of purpose.
You convince yourself that you are of purpose. We believe that we were created for a purpose because the Titans tell us that we were created for a purpose. The Titan constructs tell us that we were created for purpose. What Xalatath is saying here is, we're not. We were never created for purpose. We are a happy accident. We are a paste. And we're going to figure that out. Iridicron says this to Chromie. He says to her, as you burn in the fires of my brother's wrath, in the flames of my brother's wrath, they will not come. So you may think that you serve the Titans and the Titans are proud of you serving them, but they couldn't give two fucks about you serving them. That you are a tool as far as they are concerned, right? But
is your fury. And in the end, your glorious fury will be mine.
And that's just where we get to, right? In the end, your glorious fury will be mine. In other words, when we finally wake up. So it's not about our anger even. It's not even about our fury. It's that when we finally realize that all of the things that we clung to, all of the things that gave us meaning, all of the things that sustained us and drove us and made us fight, you know, the reasons we fought to secure and to save Azeroth. When we finally realize that all of those things are fake, all of those things are lies, that's when we'll turn to her. Because we'll realize that she is the answer. Right? We need her in order to be free of the shackles of the Titans. An interesting thought came to me the other day. You guys remember during Dragonflight, we found an in-game book. It's called The Annotations of Deathwing, where the in-game book describes the creation of Azeroth, and Deathwing scribbles things out and basically goes, yeah, right, and then explains how this isn't actually true. Were you guys here when we went through this book? Do I need to find it again? No, you fuck. Don't give me this. Is it this? It's not this. This seems wrong. This is definitely wrong. Um, Hold up. I'm trying to find the right one here. This is the right one, but it's definitely not. This pisses me off. It's the annotation, but what is it called again? Oh, here we go. I found it. Um, okay. So if you look at this, you have this is annotated. It's by Nalfarian. Nalfarian annotated this. Unaware of Sargeras' mission to undo their countless works, the Titans continued to move from world to world, shaping and ordering each planet as they saw fit. Along their journey, they happened upon a small world that its inhabitants would later name Azeroth. A note has been scribbled on the page. Pathetic. What sort of saviors of the universe failed to notice that their efforts were being undermined by one of their own? So this is from Nalfarian himself. As the Titans made their way across the primordial landscape, they encountered a number of hostile elemental beings. These elementals, who worshipped a race of unfathomably evil beings known only as the Old Gods, vowed to drive the Titans back and keep their word inviolate from the invaders' metallic touch. A note has been scribbled on the page. Evil? According to whom? It was these Titans who maligned the glory of the Black Empire. The Pantheon, disturbed by the Old Gods' penchant for evil, waged war upon the Elementals and their dark masters. The Old Gods' armies were led by the most powerful Elemental lieutenants, Ragnaros the Fire Lord, Therazane the Stone Mother, Alakir the Wind Lord, and Neptulon the Tide Hunter. They looked upon the most impressive empire in existence and hated they hadn't made it themselves. In a fit of jealousy, they tore it asunder. Their chaotic forces raged across the face of the world and clashed with the colossal Titans. Though the Elementals were powerful beyond mortal comprehension, their combined forces could not stop the mighty Titans. One by one, the Elemental Lords fell and their forces dispersed. The Titans do love to make themselves seem grandiose. History is, as always, written by the victor. Okay? The Pantheon shattered the Old Gods' citadels and chained the 5 evil gods far beneath the surface of the world. Without the Old Gods' power to keep their raging spirits bound to the physical world, the Elementals were banished to an abyssal plane, where they would contend with one another for all eternity. With the Elementals' departure, nature calmed, and the world settled into a peaceful harmony. The Titans saw that the threat was contained and set to work. Fools! The power of the Elementals was not so easily contained, nor could they bind the influence of the Old Gods. The peace the Titans offered came only through oppression. The Titans empowered a number of races to help them fashion the world, to help them carve out the fathomless caverns beneath the earth. The Titans created the dwarf-like earthen from magical living stone, to help them dredge out the seas and lift the land from the seafloor. The Titans created the immense but gentle sea giants. For many ages, the Titans moved and shaped the earth, until at last there remained one perfect continent. The author of this tome is either a liar or a fool. Were they truly ignorant of that which lies beyond the waves? Or were they merely commanded to spread Titan propaganda? At the continent's center, the Titans crafted a lake of scintillating energies. The lake, which they named the Well of Eternity, was to be the fount of life for the world. Its potent energies would nurture the bones of the world and empower life to take root in the land's rich soil. Over time, plants, trees, monsters, and creatures of every kind began to thrive on the primordial continent. The Titans wounded the world with their recklessness, then insisted it was done by design. Preposterous. It was the Old Gods who nurtured the flesh of this world, not the Titans. As twilight fell on the final day of their labors, the Titans named the continent Kalimdor, land of eternal starlight. Ah yes, the Titans' final erasure of the wonders that once existed. They even stole away the land's true name and replaced it with one of their own. Now, if I wanted to ask you guys, when do you think Nalfarian wrote this? What would you say? I don't think it was in his madness. I think it was this that led him to madness. I think it was as Nalfarian figured out the lies of the Titans, he opened himself up more and more to the to the void corruption. I don't think that any of this was written after his madness. I think it was written before it. This is what led to him finally falling to the void corruption, meaning that Sargeras or Nalfarian figured out just how many lies the Titans had told about our world. How many things the Titans had said just absolutely was not true. So it showcases that once you realize the lies of the Titans, once you realize just how many lies there are, all you have left is anger. And it is at this point that Nalfarian, at least, turned to the void. Right? It's at this point that Nalfarian turns to the void. Once he realizes that all of it's a lie. Xalatath is banking on us doing exactly the same thing. No way, Nalfarian is right about the Black Empire. We saw what it's like in Nyalotha. He's mad. Losifus, so you saw Nyalotha. You did not see the Black Empire. Now again, to be fair, at no point is an argument made here that the Titans are evil and the Void is good. That's not the argument here. The argument is simply that the Titans are evil. There's no argument about the Void. Not at the moment. We can talk about the Void, in which case I will say the argument is simply that the Void is evil. There's no mention of the Titans here. Right? Both could equally be true. But what we witnessed was a small part of the Black Empire, not the whole of it. And you also have to remember that we witnessed the Black Empire as an enemy of the Black Empire, not as a resident thereof. Which is a whole different story, right? It's very different. If you and I were to go to America as tourists, America would be super fun and cool. But if I were to go to America as an enemy, I would probably have a much different experience about America. So it's important to note that what we saw in Nyalotha might not be. You have it from the Klaxi as well. So the Klaxi also speak about the magnificent empire that existed before what they call the usurpers arrived. The Klaxi referred to the Titans as usurpers. If you count constant sacrifices as healthcare, why not? Why not? But yeah, that would be Grofal looking for group. What are you looking for, Grofal? What's going on, bro? Because this is now, I think, the third time I've seen you post that. So yeah, this is just sort of. This is what I think. Oh, Wailing Caverns. Okay, never mind. I follow now. I was like, water closet looking. Why didn't you just go piss on your own? Sorry. I forget that I call this show Barrens Chat sometimes. And that people are actually doing Barrens Chat things. But alright, so the point I'm just trying to make and the point I'm trying to get across is Xal'atath is clearly banking on what happened to Naltharion also happened to us. That's what Xal'atath is banking on. That does not mean that that is what will happen, of course. Dickhead, how you doing, bro? So regarding this specific topic, do you consider the Titans evil because they invaded and conquered another land, or because of what they did to Azeroth? I consider the Titans evil because of what they wish to do. We have to remember that the Titans were interrupted. Right? So the Titans they were not able to fulfill their mission on Azeroth. They were pulled away because of Sargeras. If Sargeras did not pull them away, we know what would have happened. If you don't know what would have happened, go do the time rifts in Dragonflight. During those time rifts, one of those time rifts is actually a world where the Titans won. In that world, it is mentioned that if there are mortals alive, there are very few alive. Because that land is not hospitable to mortal life. Giant creatures wander the world, and they would certainly consume any and all mortals. So if there are mortals, they're in hiding. At best. So we already know what the world would have looked like had Sargeras not interfered with the plans of the Titans. And that would not have been all mortals get to sing Kumbaya every Friday night right after movies, you know? And on a Thursday we have makeout sessions. That's not the plan that the Titans had. They were not putting up signs for free blowjobs everywhere. They were getting ready to exterminate all mortal life and order the living fuck out of this planet. Right? So it is important to note that that's why I consider them to be evil. Is because if they were to come back in full force, it's also interesting. Ian says, and this was during Battle for Azeroth, Ian said, when the red light in the sky fades, that's when you'll know that something bad is about to happen. The red light, of course, is the Pantheon. Or Frishiabi said that. One of them said it. They can hear me both. Absolutely hear me both. Azeroth is the true timeline. The Titans don't want you to know. Dude, Azeroth, I would actually not mind if the experimental team for World of Warcraft, I just thought of this, by the way. Imagine if the next experimental project is Azeroth version 1.0, where you go back to this alternative Azeroth as a Murloc, and you play through this alternative Murloc-y Azeroth, with the same sort of elements of Mr. Pandaria remix, but everyone is playing as a Murloc. Would that not be fucking cool? Azeroth could be such a cool experimental experience with experimental WoW. No, Grofal. You bring it back as classic remix. But it's not classic remix. It's classic remix Azeroth edition. Now, suddenly, we have multiple remixes. Because you can have Retail Edition, Cataclysm Remix, Retail Edition TBC Remix, Retail Edition Wrath of the Lich King Remix. But you can also have Cataclysm Azeroth Remix. Or Azeroth Wrath of the Lich King remix. So you could have all of these remixes set. One is Murlocs, the other is normal. And I feel like a lot of people would love that. Ferorius, how you doing, bro? Halder, how you doing, bro? Right before it's Azara's time to return to retail. already flew off the edge, don't it? What do you mean? How would that be like flying off the edge? We need a Murdoch event. Can I do question today? Yeah, Alder, please ask. If I've already answered the question, I will tell you to go back in the stream and check it out. But yeah, you're more than welcome to ask. This is why I'm here. Great, my wife might actually play again. TJ, so your wife isn't excited for the War Within at all? So Halder, I'm gonna answer those types of questions very quickly, just because I've made videos on this, like quite a lot of them, and the last thing I want is for people who's watched those videos to sit here and have to listen to the same explanations again. But in order to save you time having to go through 100+ videos, I will answer them. The Umbral Veil has a number of questions. Question number 1 is, does the Umbral Veil refer to something that we already know exists, or does it refer to something that is new, that we have not seen before? If it is something that has already existed and we know that it existed, then it could be something as simple as Azshara's inability to leave N'Zoth, right? So that could literally be it. So the Umbral Veil is literally just a make-believe thing or an aura around N'Zoth that kind of restricted Azshara's ability to leave him. And this is why in a lot of cases where we see Azshara around the world, we'll see her disguised as something else, or we'll see her as a projection of something else. But we very rarely see Azshara in her true form. Perhaps because she can't escape the Umbral Veil, as it were. So that is option number 1. The Umbral Veil could absolutely be that. The second option, and the one that I'm leaning towards more, is now that N'Zoth is dead, Azshara has found a way beyond the Veil that locks us into the world of Azeroth that we know. So, to put this into perspective, when you read this book, the Traveler series, it talks about how no ship that has ever tried to sail across the other side of Azeroth has ever returned. And that's why ships don't sail across the other side of Azeroth. They don't even try it because they don't return as a result of whatever lies there. No one knows. I believe the Umbral Veil may actually refer to that. There is a veil that was set up around us to keep us safe, either to keep everyone in, or a lot more scary, to keep something out. And this is where things like Avaloran might come in and all that. Doesn't the Spider Queen in the WoW announcement date video look like Azshara, or is it just me? No, she definitely doesn't look like Azshara. We already know that Azshara is on Avaloran, because it said Azshara has made it to Avaloran, so we'll only see Azshara, in my opinion, when we finally make our way to Avaloran. Lucifer, so the Titan Utopia is overtaken by giant plants, giant animals, giant creatures, giant constructs. It's basically ANR has gone fucking nuts. That's the Utopia version of things. ANR was just allowed to basically do whatever she wanted. And as a result of this, life has become an enemy. So basically, it's the planet-side story of the Alternative Draenor, the dungeon there. Oh, come on, boys. What the fuck is that dungeon called now? Oh, man. Everbloom. Yes, Moni, thank you. Yes. It's basically the Azeroth version of the Everbloom, only entire planet is involved in that. So, yeah, the Titan Utopia would not have been a utopia for mortals. is void in nature to begin with. God of War, the only reason I would say that that is possibly not true is...
In darkness, she slumbered here.
Is this. So you can see the void powers creeping in around what is possibly the world soul. Now, the one thing that you could refer to is if you look at the flames on the outer ring, that does look a little voidy, no? Or am I looking too deep? Is there something that you guys think I might be missing? That does look a little voidy, no? Like there is at least 4 distinct colors in this picture, in this sphere. There's a white, there's a reddish, there's a yellow, and there's a purple. 4 distinct colors that comes through here. Is there any symbolism related to a blue flame? Only really with the authors. But not so much symbolism, just there was a lot of blue flame in ICC. The all forces combined, that would definitely be an argument to be made, right, God of War? And it's an argument that we've made before, because if we go back to the Shadowlands and we specifically look at the Grimoire of the Shadowlands, the Eternal Ones, or the Brokers, rather, who I think are Eternal Ones, but who knows. But the Grimoire of the Shadowlands talks about the fractal, and how the 1 became 2, became 3, became 5, became 6, and then ultimately a 7th, but the 7 looks like it may be a fractal of the other 6. So, yes, it is entirely possible that Azeroth is the 7th, and Azeroth is a fractal of the other 6, meaning the other 6 powers would be present within Azeroth. That is possible. I mean, I've already discussed this, but it's a Ridicron. Basically, a Ridicron is, and Xalatath is busy getting ready to summon through the void. So, yeah, it's going to be that moment that Xalatath starts summoning the void, or starts threatening the summoning of the void. That's when the Titans are going to rush the fuck back. Spiritual awakening, transformation, and enlightenment are related to blue flame. It represents the presence of divine energy. Yeah, but the question is that representative in WoW? Because remember, World of Warcraft does have its own in-house lore. So I'm not sure if blue flame has a representation or a meaning in WoW. The flame around the world soul is titanic arcane magic imposed upon the world soul. It kind of looks like a prison around the light of the world soul. I wouldn't say it looks like a prison. It looks like the world soul is burning with an immense amount of heat, though. Z Vengeance, what the fuck are you trying to type that you're hitting the character limit? If I were to, like, just off the top of my head, place blue flames, I would say death and rebirth. At least to me. That's what I would describe it as. Like, that's what it signifies to me in WoW, because of how present it is in the Shadowlands, and with just the death theme in general. it sort of signifies death and rebirth, I think, for me, on Azeroth. Vengeance, if you type it in the Discord, I'll save it and get it to Akko. Don't you think that us mortals will do something to wake the world soul and they will usher in their coming? No, why would we, awakening the world soul, usher in their coming? Because we already know that it's at the hour of her third death, she will usher in our coming, right? So whoever that thing is or person is that will, have their third death. I think it's Illyria, but it could not be. It might be someone else, but that would be the one that ushers in their coming. The light bulb told him it's his destiny to fight the void. What if he comes back, but not as an avatar of the light, but avatar of Azeroth and becomes the last titan, her titan? What's her face? You're talking about Zira. Illidan is definitely coming back, but I don't think Illidan is coming back serving the light. I think Illidan is coming back with a lot more information. Illidan is going to be the guy that tells us, oh, by the way, guys, I was on the Pantheon. These guys are fucking nuts. We should not trust them at all. They're nuts. Like, trust me, bro. We need to stop them. Those of us, I was a little afraid that someone tonight in stream was going to ask about that fucking crystal in Hallowfall. Just because I have a lot of theories about it, but none of them can be confirmed until I've had the opportunity to play through the expansion. It's either a very old fragment of a very large creature of light, or maybe like a spaceship of the light, or it's a prison of some kind, as the one that is seen in the mural. So in the mural, you have Xalatath, and on the wall next to him, there's a crystal, right? That looks like it's being revered, but it also looks like the crystal is sort of kept in place. So it could be that this is a prison of some sort. It could also mean that this is what called the old gods to Azeroth in the first place. So it is this crystal that drew the old gods to Azeroth to begin with. I don't believe that crystal is of Titan origin. Because if it was, the Titans would not have the Earthen in Khazalgar, basically there to protect or to guard this crystal. So I don't believe that the crystal is tight. Actually, the Titans would have had their own beings there to defend it. Sorry. The Titans would have had beings there to defend it, whereas the Titans don't. So this suggests the Titans might not even know about this crystal. Or if they do know about it, they didn't know the significance of it. Or the Titan machinery is just to keep Azeroth asleep. That is also possible. I think it was a void ship that is now... that is how the old gods were sent, and the Titans reforged it to change it to the light. Yeah, but why would it be there? Lazarus, how you doing? Did you just refer to the old god in the mural as Xalatath? I love that theory that she is the defeated fifth old god. I didn't refer to her as Xalatath. I don't think she is Xalatath. Not that crystal, at least. The old god in the mural is N'Zoth. If I said Xalatath, I was incorrect in my speaking, because you can clearly see that it is N'Zoth. There is, of course, another option. No, I don't like that. That's a bit too fan servicey. I'll say this. There is clearly something inside that crystal. Specifically, there is something inside that crystal that reacted very violently to Sargeras' sword. But until I have had the time to really explore the zone and also play through the story, I want to reserve any theories on it because I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I've not been able to really... I mean, I don't have access to the game, right? I can play the retail and I can play all those, but I don't have access to the beta. So yeah, I have no way of knowing what is currently happening within within that zone or with that crystal. Oh, you and me both. Lucifer's, you and me both. That crystal is super important. I mean, there's a reason why Xalatath is there looking for the crystal, right? That crystal is everything. In fact, it's so important that we have Arathians there protecting it. And they were sent specifically to protect it. So you kind of know that, yeah, that place is... That crystal is like hollowed, like hollowed ground almost. It's ground zero. At least this is, I will say this much. That crystal is ground zero for Xalatath's plans. Right now, the way it seems to shape up, Xalatath desperately needs that crystal for everything else to play out. The Vengeance, yes, it could be a Naru. I was also immediately when I saw the blinking, I was like, wait, but we've seen this before. But I don't want to jump to those conclusions too quickly. Because if this is a Naru, we have a very big question to ask. How the fuck did a Naru arrive there? And how long has this Naru been there? It's the heart of Azeroth? I don't think it's the heart of Azeroth, no. That I definitely don't believe. I don't think that crystal has anything to do with Azeroth. At least that's my theory. Shirt purple white outside. No, but it can be a similar thing. So it's not exactly the same as Agashon, but it is similar. Or at least the similarities are striking enough that you do want to lean into it being some kind of Naru. Or if not some kind of Naru, then some kind of Naru device. The same way warp speed malfunctions work. It didn't stop on time and warped inside the planet. The Vengeance, okay, wait, but now we're getting into like fucking Star Trek territory. Now we have warp drives now. Hey, when did that happen? I wouldn't know. Now we are getting into fucking World of Warcraft, the space opera. Yeah, Warhammer 40k, World of Warcraft 40k. Maybe nuts, but for me, it was like Zal was talking about two different things. Azeroth and the World Soul. I'm probably being too nutty, though. I had the same feeling. It didn't feel at all times like she was talking about Azeroth, but rather about something other than Azeroth. This is why I said there is an opportunity that Xalatath was referring to whatever is inside the crystal rather than Azeroth, but then there's also a lot of things that point to it actually just being Azeroth that she's talking to. And I think Blizzard did this on purpose. They are creating hype, obviously, right now, and they're creating a bit of mystery around, WoW and what is happening, or coming at least. I think it... Okay, so this largely depends on what you guys refer to as warp travel. Because we traveled to those places. You can see how the ship fucking travels away from the Pantheon towards Azeroth. If we were warping, you wouldn't see that. Because you're warping space, so you'd literally be turning space. Or are you guys just talking about FTL drives, faster than light drives? In which case, yeah, sure, okay. They all have faster than light drives. Or maybe light drives. Now, that would be faster than light drives. Doesn't work the same way for light beings. I know I'm being very, very fucking nitpicky here. I'm aware. I'm aware that I'm being very nitpicky, but yeah. My thing is just, yeah, I don't know if I like that, quite frankly, but it could work. There are ways in which you can make it work. I just fucking light spaceship. But then the question is, who's the Naru inside? And where is that Naru? Could that be the Naru that is inside the Sunwell? The World Soul for so long denied her for so long. How could it be for so long denied her? Well, Halder Lopez, this is one of the reasons why, or how we know that Xalatath is an incredibly ancient being. Xalatath was sent from day one with one goal and one goal alone, to claim Azeroth's soul. This is what she's here for. This is what she was meant to do. And this is why she says it was denied her. Well, Dean, again, we're now in the world where we are assuming that the crystal in the mural and the crystal in the roof is the same crystal. Now, I am of the same assumption, but I am hesitant to just push the assumption. Because it is entirely possible that those are not the same two crystals. All right, so we're going to do a final few questions before I have to go. Anything that you guys really want to know? Remember, I'm back next week, and I'm back on Twitch as well fucking soon. So if you really have a question, there are other ways you can find me. But is there anything you want to know right now that we can quickly discuss? The Night Line is what leads me to think she was the first defeated by the others. You see, that's the line that would actually make me think the opposite. Like, she was always supposed to be the Harbinger. And the old gods were always meant to die so that she could use their essences, so that she could be the Harbinger, so that she could claim Azeroth's soul, so that she could summon through the Void Lords. So we're getting the same information, but we're reaching different conclusions. At least for now. We'll see what happens in the next expansion. Was she denied by the World Soul? Just a thought. I don't know. But it is interesting to ask. Predictions for launch cinematic. No, fuck. All I know is I want an epic cinematic. I want a cinematic that blows my dick off. The same as the Battle for Azeroth cinematic or the Legion cinematic. I want something that absolutely destroys me. CGI to the max, let's go. Right? That's what I want to see. I want blood-pumping, action-inducing madness is what I want. But I can't tell you how or what I want to see there. What happened to Argus' soul after Shadowlands? If what I think about Titans is correct, he's gone back to the source, and he will eventually be born into a new body, if indeed he is a Titan like all the other Titans. But it could be that he was destroyed. Maybe his soul was so twisted that there was no point in even trying to bring him back, and so they just destroyed him. No, I genuinely don't know. The Lost Titan is it's a very annoying name for an expansion because it's good, but it's annoying. Because it either refers to the Lost Titan as in physically, literally the Lost Titan alive, or it refers to the Lost Titan being born. So Azeroth being born is the Lost Titan. There are no other Titans that need to be born after Azeroth. She is the Lost. It could also refer to the Lost Titan being created. So my personal opinion is that the Titans will be destroyed at the end of the Lost Titan. This will be the end of the Titan beings as we know them, Amanthul and the rest. Based on the new stories that we have, based on the Titan Colossal story that we started this stream with, based on everything that we've seen in Dragonflight, it looks like there is a very concerted effort from Blizzard's side to cement the Titans as a genuinely evil race. Right? A genuinely evil cosmic force that we should not be trusting in. At least if I put everything together that we know thus far. That would not be impossible. That would absolutely not be impossible. It's like she knows this world soul on a personal level. Oh, she must do. But I think all of the old gods do. I mean, they've been a part of the planet for a very long time. But part of the whole origination thing was meant to make us not think that we shouldn't trust them in any capacity. Z-Vengeance, you would be surprised at the amount of people who still trust the old gods with their lives. The amount of people that just refuse to listen to any negative feedback about the Titans. Trust me, I've had these conversations many, many times with many, many people. And there are so many people who just go, no, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. The Titans are just fine. So, yeah. That's a difficult one. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the 2-hour mark. I'm going to go grab food. I have to make it first. But it is 8 o'clock at night. It is a Friday. I'm not even going to do anything. I'm going to go make food. And then I think I have a video that I want to record. So I'm going to be doing that now. I appreciate all of you for coming out to Barrens Chat episode 10. I really hope that you enjoyed this one. Please remember to hit the like button. If you did, it really does help out the channel a ton. I have picanha steak, Z-Vengeance. That's what I have for dinner. Also, $1 a month helps you keep this channel free from sponsorships that want to sell you shit that you do not. Believe me, guys, I'm like a fucking wall of a dam. I'm standing here holding back all of those mobile ads. Trust me. My email, full of mobile ads. They all want to give me cash to flood the videos with mobile ads. I'm saying no. So if you want to help me, say no, $1 a month. That's all I ask. So head over to Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Alternatively, just enjoy the content. You know, just come out here, hit the like button, say hello every once in a while in the comment section. It all helps out. Really, really does help out. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your weekends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Friday evening. I really enjoyed being here with you. I will be back on Twitch and obviously next week on YouTube. Please, as always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.